This video is going to be a commentary about some of the reports, articles, or short videos that are out there about day one of Ravens mandatory minicamp. Obviously, the title and the tone of it are an exaggeration. I'm sure that the play, or the format, I should say, was tilted in the defense's favor at times. From most of the reports, particularly those of Jeff Zrebeck, hopefully I pronounce his name correctly because I feel like he does a wonderful job, very professional and balanced. But from his reports and others, it sounds like Zach Orr's group held the day. But before we get to that, I'm not sure about you. I definitely had a couple of hours of some consternation, anxiety, maybe fear when seeing the report that Kyle Hamilton was not practicing. Even saw a picture on social media of him in street clothes and that he had not participated in any of the mini camps so far. They were obviously voluntary before today. For the incredible impact, the widespread impact that he has all over the field, we were very fortunate last year as Ravens fans to get out of that knee injury situation uh, relatively harmless. He was hurt for the second half, or in the second half of the Rams game, I believe, week 14. Then he went out and played 100% of the snaps against the Jags and had a ridiculous pass defense in that game before a 2 interception game against the 49ers in week 16. In this case, it appears as if he'll be out for 2 to 3 weeks after elbow surgery. So there'll be lots of opportunities this week, the next 2 days, for Arthur Millette, who apparently played amazing today. I think he had a forced fumble recovered, and an interception on the day. TJ Tampa, Ardarius Washington, and others to all match up, possibly at that nickel position, and then boost their status with the coaching staff. Sounds like a lot of the DBs played really well. Reports are that Brandon Stevens also had a pick six. Roquan Smith had an interception. I guess Stevens' pick six had a tip on it. Was on a ball intended for Derrick Henry that apparently was tipped. Tough go for the offense, but look, they're not in pads, they're in shells. Offensive linemen are in shorts, in fact. So there's situations where the defense knows it's pass. We hear about interceptions or touchdowns and various results of plays, and it's often reported as 11 on 11. First of all, I reject that a little bit because it's like 7 on 7 doesn't count. 7 on 7, you can actually get a lot of things accomplished in terms of teaching, instruction, implementation, and installation. But the truth is, even in certain 11 on 11 drills, when you're in shells, the O-line and the D-line has a barrier. They have a ceiling. They know the deal. Nobody should be trying to be a Monday hero in June, in my opinion. I get it. You do have some guys fighting for a potential roster spot, others even trying to get just a practice squad offer. But they, the coaches, are not and should not match up unknown guys who might be unpredictable with our starters, meaning someone who's going to go crazy and get their hands on the quarterback in an 11 on 11 obvious passing drill doesn't belong out there with the starters, probably doesn't belong on the field, on the NFL field. Anyway, my point is there is a ceiling, and it is a feel that certain guys have to have for where they should hold up and where they should continue to show effort. And they're looking for execution. The coaches are looking for, are you up front particularly, are you getting in the right spot where you're supposed to be? Run plays are not going to be a big focus. Think of the stadium practice, if you will. I think that's the level of effort that we're talking about. So it's not surprising that the defense would seem to win most of the day. It's a known pass play situation. I'm not trying to discount what Arthur Millette or others did. First of all, it's good to know that Humphrey, Stevens, Ardarius Washington, Marcus Williams were out there all healthy, even though Hamilton won't be for this week and for the next 2 or 3. There's clearly enough depth to execute whatever Zach Orr wants the guys to go out there and do, and they responded today. And I'm also not making excuses for Todd Monken because I've been incredibly hard on him, particularly after the Chiefs game and in other situations in 2023. Not making excuses for Lamar or anyone else on the offense. But it's a fact. If you've got experience in football, you know the defense often has the advantage early on in camp, particularly when so many guys are returning to a defense that was that good, like the 2023 Ravens defense was. Roquan got an interception. Like I said, there's times in camp where as a defense, the formation and the play. Maybe you don't know it, but you got a 50-50 shot because you know what they're working on. You know what they're practicing. And you, in fact, hear the offensive coordinator or position coaches coaching their guys after the play. You know that if they make a mistake on slant fade, for example, then they're going to come back to it. If they've explained it and spent time, you understand that there is a script but oftentimes they'll deviate from it to try to reintegrate or revisit, excuse me, another concept and try to see if a player can fix it. I do expect a rebound day Tuesday or Wednesday as things go for the offense. Things that basically maybe they've tried and failed or tried and succeeded with to be then used as a setup for something else Tuesday or Wednesday. It is good to hear. I don't know about you that what you read or what you read that Tylan Wallace had a touchdown in a 2-minute drill situation that the offense obviously won with a touchdown there. It sounds like the defense was flying around, and at heart, I'm a defensive guy, so I'm glad. I do know that there's just too much pride and talent on the Ravens offense for there not to be some swing back in the other direction and soon. I do want to point out the defense is often given favorable information from the coaches by design, in fact. The 2-minute drill or 1-minute drill, for example, it tells the defense what's coming. Also, in those situations, even though you say, well, coach, well, how come they can't stop every 1-minute drill during the game? Well, you can't play man free against Lamar consistently and not get destroyed by a scramble. You can do that in situations like today. You can rush 4, let the mic kind of roam a little bit, leave the area hash to hash open, and Lamar, in most situations, if someone's not open, is going to be able to escape a 4-man rush and get a tremendous amount of yards. Look at the 3rd and long late in the second quarter against the 49ers, where he basically broke their team with, I think, a 31 or 32-yard scramble. My point is the defense is given the benefit of the doubt in many of these situations when you're in shells. In June, mind you, there's certain coverages you can play that you would not be able to against Lamar for obvious reasons. Also, I think my focus personally is on the drills. I think they mean more how you do things on both sides, what pace you set, not just the pace during the drills, but between drills, and how the practice ebbs and flows in terms of the intensity. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I saw a couple of reactions on social media from people that maybe just don't have experience with the game and understand that a practice can't be all high intensity drills, nor should a practice be all low intensity drills. There needs to be an ebb and flow to the practice that is intentional, that is scripted and designed. So such that a high intensity drill where players are maybe pursuit drill running as fast as they can for 8 to 10 seconds, maybe finishing with some explosive manner or a fumble recovery, whatever, and then hustling 30 yards to get into the end zone, followed by a lower intensity drill that's maybe skill based, doesn't require as much movement, meaning you're not sprinting for 7 to 9 seconds at a time for each rep. You are standing still, some stationary technique that or overall stunt, part of a stunt, blitz, or coverage that you'll have to execute, but you don't have to move full speed. So when I see pictures or a quick video clip of a drill from a Ravens minicamp, obviously from today, and a player only gives like 2 to 3 seconds of exertion, I assume that the previous drill period was something that was more taxing. I would caution you against assuming that all drills are that level of intensity. Saw a couple of reps of Kyle Van Noy and some other outside linebackers working together, and some of the comments were, well, those guys don't look like they're working really hard. Well, they do more than just that drill. And in fact, the design of practices, at least in my experience, even the ones that I have just gone and observed at the college level, is such that they're scripted in a manner to allow the athletes to adjust. And think about a football game. You play defense for 5, 6, 7, 8 plays at a time, and then you go off on the sideline. That's your ebb and flow. That's your low intensity. You're now on the sideline, and you're processing things with your teammates or your coaches, or you're making adjustments. There's some mental focus that is there, but you're not physically being exerted on the sideline. That's the point of the drills being alternated, in my opinion, or at least how it's been explained to me. It's smart from the coaches and the players. You try to train the eyes, the hands, the rest of the body and on the skills, but then also the body on how to acclimate to giving maximum effort for 5 to 7 seconds or 5 to 8 seconds, whatever the average football play is now, and then 20 to 25 or 30 seconds of rest in between before you have to do that all over again. That's what makes football as a sport so vastly different, and the training for it just has to match up. There's baseline strength, cardio, and explosiveness. All of that has to come in bursts, however. So I was never there, obviously, but I'd never judge a short clip of a drill the way that I saw others react today, which I actually almost typed a reply and I didn't want to because some people just don't have knowledge of it's all part of the practice plan for the day. So a particular rep might be focused on steps. It might be focused on hand placement. It might be focused on the angle of your lower body as your upper body stays square, depending on the key that you're responding to. I'm talking about like a defensive end and like a 6 technique or a 7 technique. Um, it might sometimes look like they're going 70 to 80% speed because they're trying to control those other things first. It's actually a fun time to work on skills as a coach, skills and development, really. One major point I do want to make, as you see some of the pictures scrolling here, it's clear from one of the pictures to me that Lamar was under center. We do this every year, at least I do. How much will the Ravens be under center next season? Should the Ravens use the stretch boot concept more often? I do one of those videos every season, and I've used some of those titles, exact titles, or ones very similar in the last 2 or 3 years. So forgive me. I won't do that again, I guess. Or if I do, I'll show a lot of Derrick Henry film. It's also possible, I guess, they were in the pistol. So feel free. From the angle for me, it looks like they were under center, and I might be wrong. It only makes sense, however, for the Ravens to be under center more. I will do an NBA comparison. Derrick Henry's like an NBA player, if you ask me, that's got a great post-up game. He either scores, gets fouled, or sets someone else up off of a converging double team when he posts up. I'm talking about that picture right there that's flowing through now. The under center run game in the complementary play action passes, my comparison for the fouls would be this. Henry might get stopped for a 3-yard gain, or maybe even a 2-yard gain, but it gets the defense moving. It plants the seeds to the complementary plays that are called later on if you've installed them. Last year, I thought that we were more simplistic early on under center and somewhat predictable. Over the course of the season, I thought we progressed and became less predictable. To take one step further with the NBA comparison, if you have a great post-up player, he comes to your team and all you do is run the pick and roll with him, and you never take advantage of that dominant skill he has that he's put out on film for years, I think you're leaving some ammunition unfired. I think you're leaving some things out there on the table that could make the offense even more explosive, even more in control of the flow of the game. Of course, the Ravens are going to be under center more in 2024. They have Derrick Henry. They better be. And I do think Lamar can play under center. They might not do a lot of traditional 5-step drop or 3-step drop from under center with Lamar because he hasn't done those things. For those things, they'll probably be in the pistol. And again, I think the early offense may be limited from under center. It was in 2023, but they did expand on it as the season moved on, using Henry to control parts of the game in a way that he is ultimately extremely comfortable, the under center run game. Control just parts of a possession. It's just smart. It's just a smart way to utilize his talent and open up space for other people. One other element, and this will be the last point that I make. First of all, forgive me for a video that doesn't show any film, the second one in a row, but I can't show film. We don't have it, number one. Number two, all I can do is talk about the reports that other people put out because I'm not able to go there. I don't have that type of access, obviously. The under center plays, the timing is different. The timing is vastly different when the quarterback has his back to the defense. There was a segment on ESPN a couple of years ago. I think it was Mina Kimes. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. A couple of other well-known commentators, and they were talking about the elongation of the conflict for the defense. And that dynamic, I think, is worth mentioning because so much of the timing of the Ravens' plays last year in the shotgun or pistol was quick. I probably just need to get a stopwatch and do the timing so I can explain it better. But the timing being different provides a different level of conflict for the defense. Think like you have a fastball, a slider, and a changeup, as opposed to a pitcher who only throws a fastball and a slider. The timing is generally the same or close enough to it. This is like a dynamic, if you ask me, that the football world is kind of forgetting. In some ways, it reminds me of like things that have been built in ancient cultures that had such strong foundations that they lasted thousands of years. The pyramids would be one example. When societies thereafter tried to recreate them, build similar structures, and they crumbled within a couple hundred years. I guess you call it forgotten knowledge. I think that you're forcing defenses to have a little bit longer conflict by being under center. Should we do that 70% of the time? No, that's not what I'm saying. I think we should do it about double what we did in 2023. We forced those defenders on the backside we forced defenders to take another step or half step towards Henry's flow, and then the backside D end has to make a decision. Now, I know that there's people that say, oh, he's never going to play it in a realistic fashion, the backside D end. He's always just going to run at Lamar for fear of the boot. Cool. And the downhill cutback is there for the running back, number one. And number two, we can use split zone concepts to just abuse that approach. I think the Ravens offense has capability to run three different offenses to go with my NBA analogy. A post-up focus, Henry, and the ensuing play action plays off it. The pick and roll that everybody uses, and that would be the generic 11 personnel spread plays that we run that everyone else does too. And then the third element or focus, I guess, could be the various hybrid personnel groups and schemes, some of which are vastly different, but I'm clumping them or lumping them together to say that they could be a part of a third focus for the Ravens. That's 12, 21, or 22 personnel. Of course, the first one, 12, has Likely and Andrews on the field. The second two, 21 and 22, would be Ricard, constantly playing a shell game with the defense. At least for today, Zach Orr's group on defense was able to play with confidence and win the hand. I don't know about you, but for whatever reason, this mandatory minicamp excites me because of Zach Orr's installation schedule and how it's going. Today obviously went extremely great. I'm interested in when or if the rebound is going to come this week for the offense. So I'm looking forward to hearing what comes out Tuesday. For me, it's kind of hard to believe that this time of year is upon us already. I'm really looking forward to August and training camp, but this is kind of a fun time. Anyway, as an aside, if you want to use the Lamar and Henry pick that you see there on your phone, I've made that available in a shared Google Drive for either an iPhone or an Android. I think there's like 3 different file versions in there, so feel free to download that if you wish. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this obvious commentary look at the Ravens' first day of mandatory minicamp, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. If you'd like to see a specific film study video for the Ravens for later this week, please let me know in the comments section. Appreciate you guys' time.